So this might have just happened. Oops, no idea how, that just kind of fell into the back. So I've got a confession: my Victorian books now don't fit on a bookshelf. So I have got a good old-fashioned book haul for you today from my favourite site in the whole world, from World of Books, which I have to say always gets me on the multiples of 4, because on World of Books you buy 4 books, you get 1 free. So 3 of these were completely free, so that's a slight defence of me. They were all super cheap as well. I went for the books that were either £4 or under, so super cheap. So what on earth is this big stack of books, you might say? Well, I wanted also in this video to shout out a really exciting event that Jen over at Jen the Librarian is starting next month. So you've got time to join in if you want to, and if you haven't heard of this. So Jen the Librarian, for the second time ever, is running a Thomas Hardy read-along. So to read the complete works of Thomas Hardy in publication order, which I've never done that before. I've never taken an author's body of work and read it in the order that it was published, in order to see the writing development. So I'm really interested and excited to do that. Also, I'd planned anyway to read some Thomas Hardy this year, because I'm doing a year of Victorian reading for my DIY literature degree. In fact, I had on my TBR for this month, to go along with my challenge of Gate May, this version of Far From the Madding Crowd, because it has a gate on the front. This was going to be my first read of Thomas Hardy. Well, not quite my first read, but I'll get to that in a minute. This is now off my TBR, which is a really good thing, because I've hardly read anything this month. So this is off the TBR because it's going back into the pile, so I can join along properly with this read along. It's a year-long read along. It will go from, actually it's more than a year, it will go from this June up until next July. Oh my gosh, how exciting is that? Jen, I'm just all in. I'm so excited. So this is a video where I'm going to take you through the publication order of Thomas Hardy. I'm going to talk about the books that I bought. The first book being Charles Dickens, I know. So I said about the multiples of 4 always getting me. When I went on World of Books and searched for Thomas Hardy and cheap Thomas Hardy, okay condition Thomas Hardy, I managed to find 9 books, which leaves me short of the getting a free book. That's just rude. So I added an extra 3, which are all Charles Dickens. So let's just start with the Charles Dickens haul before I get to the Thomas Hardy. So I am quite pleased. I got these in the Oxford World Classics editions, which I have. I'm enjoying reading this version of this edition of classics. So reading in publication order, I'm not doing that with Charles Dickens, even though I know that Katie over at Books and Things did a read along of all of Charles Dickens' work, again in publication order. When I joined Booktube and decided I wanted to read Victorian literature this year, I had considered joining in with Katie's challenge retrospectively, but because money is an issue and I'd already found these 3 Charles Dickens books in a charity shop, 3 for £2 these 3 were, I just decided to go with what I'd got and to just start reading it out of order. So I didn't do it for Charles Dickens. In fact, I started, if you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know, with David Copperfield. I've just finished reading last month's Bleak House, and I am going on to read A Tale of Two Cities this month for my Gate May, because there's a gate on the front. So Charles Dickens, it's out of order, and I kind of regretted it. I I really thought it would have been interesting to read him in order, but I've started now. So when the chance came up to join a publication order read along, I was all in for that. So waffling aside, what are my Charles Dickens books that I bought? So I managed to pick up Little Dorrit in this edition. I love the cover on this one. I also managed to pick up Hard Times, which I was surprised at how thin Hard Times is, considering that Dickens likes to use a lot of words. This was kind of a relief to see a slightly more skinny book, and by skinny I mean that there is, oh my gosh, there's under 300 pages in this book. What world are we even in, Charles, with this? So I got these two, and I got a free book, and I love the cover on this. This is the Oxford World Classics edition of Dombey and Son. Look at the cover on that, isn't that gorgeous? So again, this one is back to normal size. Yeah, this is over 900 pages. So I've got another 3 books added onto the bookshelf, which is now overflowing for my Charles Dickens reading, which is still ongoing, of course. So like I said, I had planned to read some Thomas Hardy this year. I hadn't planned to read quite as many as this readathon is going to now put onto my TBR, but what fun to join in anyway. So the books I'd already got, I'd got 2 copies of Far From the Madding Crowd. This one, like I said, I was going to read this month, but not now. And this cover, I think this is one of my all-time favourite book covers. There's just something so wonderful and intriguing, and look at the colour palette of that about this book. I loved it. Both of these were found for 30p each in charity shops, so I'd already got those on the shelf. And from the same charity shop, again for 30p, I had found this Wordsworth Classics edition of Tess of the D'Urbervilles. So I had got what is effectively 2 Thomas Hardy books on my shelf ready to read. But those won't do, because those aren't the first published books of Thomas Hardy. So I'm going to take you through now this little pile of books that I bought for Jen's great read along. So first one, this is a book we're starting with in June. First published book of Thomas Hardy is the book Desperate Remedies, and I just want to prepare you for how cool and fabulous this cover is. I actually spent probably about 50p more on this just to get this edition. How fabulous is that cover? There is something for me about these covers which kind of are a bit kitsch, and they use real people. I just love. I love how kitsch they are. I love how kind of so terrible they are that they're out the other end and they've made it into fabulous. I'm all about that. So this is a Macmillan book, Thomas Hardy, Desperate Remedies. This is next month, so June's first book that we're going to be reading. July, Under the Greenwood Tree. So I actually paid more for this book. For a well-read copy, I could have got a as new copy for less money, but I just had to go for this copy. It's another one of these. It's another Macmillan book, and look, it is really well read. Look at that spine. But guys, look at the picture on the cover. I love that. So Under the Greenwood Tree is July's book. 2 pretty spectacular covers, you've got to admit, for the first 2 months. Then August book is A Pair of Blue Eyes. I managed to find a Penguin Popular Classics version of this book on World of Books. A gorgeous cover. Can't wait to read it. And then in September we go to Far From the Madding Crowd. So I've already shown those. I already have that on my bookshelf. In October we have The Hand of Ethelberta. I managed to find a Penguin Classics version of this book. I think this was the most expensive. I think I had to pay over £4 for this, but it was much more expensive elsewhere. I think I paid £4.99 for this one. Love the cover again. In November we have Return of the Native. I got a Penguins classic version for that. Beautiful cover. December is the Trumpet-Major. I couldn't find yet a cheap enough version of the Trumpet-Major, so that one I've still got to buy, but that's not till December. Plenty of time. That might be a Christmas present to myself. Then in January, prepare yourself. This is another one of these cool covers. Is the Laodicean? Is that how we say that word? I think that's got to be actually my favourite cover of all of them. So I managed to find 3 of these Macmillan books. I think they're the same people in the photographs. It looks like it might be even the same dress, same parasol, same photo shoot. I love it. February, we've got 2 on a Tower. I haven't found that book yet. In next March, we've got the Mayor of Casterbridge, which has got the most gorgeous cover. This is a Penguin Classics I managed to pick up. In April, we've got the Woodlanders. Jen, you've made me scared about reading the Woodlanders. Jen, I don't think, likes this book, and a lot of people have said they don't want to read it because it's not so good. But I've got my Oxford World Classics version of it. Let's hope the book cover can pull me through this one. So that is our April read for next year. May is Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which I've already got a copy on my shelf, so that's great. And then June and July, so the final 2 months of the challenge, we've got The Well-Beloved and Jude the Obscure. I haven't found either of those 2 yet. Dirt cheap, and I think the publication order of those 2 have been swapped. I think Jen was saying that The Well-Beloved is very, very miserable. Its misery factor for Thomas Hardy is quite high, and she didn't want to end on a really miserable book, so she swapped The Well-Beloved and Jude the Obscure around so that we finish on Jude the Obscure next July. So that's it, guys. That is the plan for Thomas Hardy reading with Jen. Extra book that I also found that was part of my 12 book haul was Thomas Hardy, The Cambridge Companion. So these Cambridge Companions are actually getting quite expensive now. So when I found this one, I think I paid £5 for this one, but it was going at like £25 elsewhere. So I just grabbed it. I thought a companion might be really nice to read alongside this as part of my Victorian literature studies. So wow, you must be thinking I'm a massive Thomas Hardy fan to have bought such a big book haul of one author. Well, my reading of Thomas Hardy to date is when I was about 15, I tried to read Tess of the D'Urbervilles. I got about 50 pages in, thought it was absolutely awful, and stopped reading it. So my reading experience so far is that I really don't like Thomas Hardy. So let's just buy nearly his entire collection of works then. So why have I done that if I don't think I'm a Thomas Hardy fan? Well, from reading the classics that I've read this year and last year and coming back to my reading, some of the classics that I had read in the past and didn't enjoy, like Charles Dickens or Wilkie Collins, I've read this year. My opinion has totally changed. I think the age I am now, I am ready to take on and enjoy the classics. And every classic from the Victorian age that I've read so far this year, I have absolutely adored. So I've read Charlotte Bronte, I've read Emily Bronte, I've read Wilkie Collins, I've read Bram Stoker, I've read a number of Dickens novels as well. Loved every single one of them. So I'm just jumping in with both feet. Let's just give it a good go. Thomas Hardy, don't let me down, because that's a lot of books to have bought. And now of course I've got some incredible, amazing book covers to smile at on my bookshelf. So guys, what do you think of Thomas Hardy? Have you read any of his works? What is your favourite? What should I be most looking forward to? What is your least favourite? Do you agree with Jen that the Woodlanders is going to be tough to get through? Do you like covers like this? Are you pulled to the kitsch of your book covers? Do you, like me, have multiple copies of the same book, again just for the covers? Are you also joining in with this? Does it interest you? There is no need to read everything. Jen has said that if you just choose even just one book, then you're part of the read along. So you don't think you've got to do what I've done and jump in with both feet. You can just pick one or two books. Jen has videos on her channel sharing this, which I'll link below, of course, in the description box. She has also started a free Patreon. How generous and lovely is that of her, for us to join in and to be able to discuss the books. The book order is over there on Patreon as well, completely free to join. So I think that's wonderful. I'll link that as well below if you're interested. But I'm super excited. I am on countdown now to start and to get my hands on Desperate Remedies next month, of course, along with my Dickens reading as well. So Jen, thank you so much. I am super excited, and I can't wait. Let's bring on Thomas Hardy then. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.